Oh, you're here. Oh, sorry, there you are. I didn't see you. Okay, thank you. You were hidden in the corner there. Rachel, if you would please come forward. Rachel is the pastor of St. Paul's AME Church. If you would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sorry, I'm a little on the short side.
It's okay.
Let's pray. Oh, great and awesome God, we thank you for the privilege of serving this great city. We ask that you would surround us with your love, with your care. Fill us with your joy, with your hope, and your peace. Direct us in your way. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmembers Huff.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Doherty.
Here.
DeLucy.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Van Camp.
Here.
Mayor Ware.
Here. Our first presentation this evening is the annual Susie Block Award that will be presented by Carrie Cornett, immediate past president of the Junior Service League and the chair of the Susan P. Block Distinguished Public Service Award Committee. Carrie.
Good evening, Mayor Weir, members of the City Council, citizens and friends. Good evening and welcome to the Susan Paxton Block Distinguished Public Service Award presentation. I'm Carrie Cornett, and it is my honor to be here as the immediate past president of the Junior Service League of Independence, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to present this award this evening. The Susan Paxton Block Distinguished Public Service Award was established by resolution of the Independence City Council on April 7th, 1997, through an endowment created by William Paxton to honor the memory of his daughter. The award is intended to recognize an individual who exemplifies excellence in his or her conduct of city business, either as an employee or a volunteer. I know every member of the selection committee responded back to me what a difficult decision this was. We had a lot of really wonderful candidates. There's exceptional work being done in Independence, and all citizens should feel proud of their outstanding commitment to excellence that is being exhibited by the employees and volunteers in our community. It is my honor to present the 2018 Susan Paxton Block Distinguished Public Service Award to Officer Jeff Nunn. Jeff was nominated by Independence Police Captain Scott Durst. Officer Durst proudly nominated Officer Nunn for his critical role in the Youth Alcohol Diversion Program. Officer Nunn has been with the Independence Police Department for 17 years and has been serving as a school resource officer with the Independence School District since 2007. Officer Nunn has a passion for the successful development of youth within the city of Independence. Officer Nunn has a passion for he also has served as a swimming coach since 2007. Since becoming a school resource officer, Jeff has been involved with the Youth Alcohol Diversion Program and has been a driving force in developing the program into one of the premier youth alcohol diversion programs in the state of Missouri. Officer Nunn took complete control of the alcohol diversion program in 2014 and is solely responsible for the planning, coordination, and execution of all liquor compliance checks conducted within the city of Independence. The primary goal of the compliance checks is to help save lives of teens by reducing teen alcohol-related deaths. The compliance checks are conducted with the assistance of minors ages 18 to 19 years old. Up until recently, the minors assisted the police department on a voluntary basis, and Officer Nunn has been able to facilitate payment for the minor volunteers through the Youth Alcohol Grant funded by the state of Missouri. Officer Nunn is the primary recruiter and trainer for the volunteers and maintains meticulous records of the minors used, what establishments have been checked, and which have been cited for any violations. His attention to detail and zero tolerance policy on violations committed have gained the attention of the Missouri Department of Public Safety, Alcohol, and Tobacco Control in Jefferson City. Officer Nunn also received accolades from the acting state supervisor of the Alcohol and Tobacco Control, Dorothy E. Tyler, and State Chief of Enforcement, Keith Hendrickson. Officer Nunn is solely responsible for the dramatic increase in the dollar amount of the grant awarded to the Independence Police Department from $7,000 in 2017 to over $33,000 in January of 2018. Additionally, the dollar amount of the grant was recently doubled as a direct result of Officer Nunn's persistence. This significant in grant funding has allowed compliance checks to be conducted in businesses within the city multiple times during the calendar year. The increase will allow for more aggressive, proactive enforcement directed towards those establishments that have a record of committing violations. During Officer Nunn's tenure as lead compliance officer for the police department, the successful compliance rate within the City of Independence has risen from 81% in 2014 to maintaining over a 90% since 2015. Officer Nunn has also used his connections to assist the Sugar Creek Police Department conduct their liquor inspections and consulted with the Green Valley Police Department in developing their own youth alcohol diversion program. In the words of Officer Durst, Officer Nunn has undoubtedly played a key role in the success and further development of the youth alcohol intervention program within the Independence Police Department. His passion and diligence for preventing youth alcohol-related deaths and accidents have helped the program reach a level second to none. Officer Nunn's continued efforts in making the program such a model of success reflect the high moral standards he has made for himself. His actions bring great credit to the Independence Police Department and the City of Independence. So Officer Nunn, as the 2018 Susan Paxton Block Distinguished Public Service Award, would you please come forward at this time? I'm honored to present you with this plaque and lapel pin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So if you'd like to say a few words.
Yes, I would. I'm honored and humbled to accept this award tonight. Obviously feel there's many other deserving people who do a great job here in my hometown. Ironically, I've been a resident of Independence the entire life, except for the 4 years that Susan Paxton Block was serving on the city council while I was in college. Proud to call Independence my home, especially proud to be part of the IPD family. Not only enjoy working with citizens of Independence, but in my unique position as an SRO, I have the ability to create good perceptions of police officers for our young people. Especially thankful tonight to some of the people that have been instrumental in that object of saving lives, because that's really the point of our youth alcohol program, is saving lives of young people in our city. Wouldn't have been able to do this without the support of Chief Halsey, Captain Durst, who nominated me for this, Sergeant Scholl, Sergeant Peterson, who helped apply for the grant. Without their trust and support, I wouldn't have been able to take our enforcement level to that where it is today. Also don't want to forget Charlie DeSell over here, who's taken the reins in handling all of our city's administrative hearings. We've had plenty of those. State Alcohol Supervisor Jeffrey Evans over here, my right-hand man over the last few years. And strangely enough, I'm also appreciative of the flexibility and the cooperation of all our liquor establishments here. They've actually embraced the increased enforcement action as a team effort to decrease access of alcohol to our youth. Again, many thanks to Junior Service League, the Selection Committee, the Chamber, Young Matrons, Rotary, Kiwanis, and of course Susan's family that's here tonight. So thank you for your acknowledgement tonight and for your support for my hometown. So.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would like to recognize the selection committee that helped select Officer Durst.
None.
None, I'm sorry. No stress, no stress. If you are here tonight, I would like to have you please stand. Karen Beverstock, the president of Young Matrons. Tom Lesnack, president of Chamber of Commerce. Doug Cowan, president of Independence Rotary. And Mary House, president of the Independence Kiwanis Club. Thank you for giving your time and thoughtful consideration to our nominees. I would also like to recognize Kim Osborne, executive assistant to the mayor, and everyone in the mayor's office for their help in making this evening's presentation possible. I would also like to thank my fellow JSL members here tonight, Melanie Goodson and Lori Grubb, for their help in the reception. At this time, I would like to introduce Susie's sister, Barbara de Blasi. Barbara, would you like to say a few words?
So I
Hi,
just wanted
Barbara.
to say it's always an honor to come in front of the chamber, and it's always an honor to be able to say thank you for doing all the amazing and selfless things you do for the city, whether it's the police department or those of you who are public servants. And thank you very much for your effort to make Independence the Mecca that it is.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Congratulations, Officer Nunn. Thank you for the example of distinguished public service that you have and continue to display to the community. Mayor Weir, the Junior Service League of Independence appreciates the opportunity to present this award in honor of Susan Paxton Block. Thank you for allowing us time on the agenda this evening to continue to honor the memory of Susan Paxton Block and recognize those that exhibit exceptional public service.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. And congratulations again, Officer Nunn. Our next presentation is the resolution recognizing Randy Ray, Court Clerk and Municipal Court, as the Employee of the Month for October 2018. Madam City Clerk.
Whereas the City Employee Recognition Program recognizes outstanding performance by employees of the City of Independence, and whereas an employee committee selects the Employee of the Month for exhibiting the qualities and ideals that best represent public service, and whereas the Employee Recognition Committee has selected Randy Ray, Court Clerk in Municipal Court, as Employee of the Month for October 2018. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Independence, Missouri as follows: that the City Council of the City of Independence, Missouri joins in recognizing Randy Ray as a City of Independence employee for the month of October 2018.
I'd entertain a motion for approval of this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Bainkamp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. October Employee of the Month, Randy Ray, has worked in the Municipal Court Department for her entire 10.5-year tenure with the city. In her current position as court clerk, Randy says what she likes most about her job is that there is always something to do. No shortage of work, which makes the time go by faster, but can also be stressful at times. Randy says the most valuable lesson she has learned in her career is not to let small things bother her. She thinks what makes Independence a good place to live, work, and visit is the people, and enjoys her community and the growth she sees for the future. Outside of work, Randy's family is her #1 hobby. She and her husband enjoy their boys' football games, relaxing at the lake, and occasionally playing sand volleyball with friends. Please join me in congratulating Randy Ray, Municipal Court Clerk, as the October 2018 Employee of the Month. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, this is the fun part. Yeah. Okay, we have a few proclamations this evening. The first is for National Fire Prevention Week. Madam City Clerk.
Whereas the City of Independence is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas home fires kill 2,735 people in the United States in 2016, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States respond to 352,000 home fires, and the majority of U.S. fire deaths, 4 out of 5, occur at home each year. And whereas Independence residents should identify places in their home where fires can start and eliminate those hazards. Working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and Independence residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. And whereas Independence residents should listen for the sound of smoke alarm, and when it sounds, respond by going outside immediately to the designated meeting place. And whereas Independence residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. Independence first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Independence residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take action to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme, Look, Listen, Learn, Be Aware, Fire Can Happen Anywhere, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Now therefore, Eileen N. Weir, Mayor of the City of Independence, Missouri, does hereby proclaim October 7th through 13th, 2018 as Fire Prevention Week, and urge all the people of the City of Independence to be aware of their surroundings, look for available ways out in the event of a fire and other emergencies, respond when the smoke alarm sounds by exiting the building immediately, and to support the many fires. Thanks. Sorry, it ends right there, sorry.
Okay.
The many, I don't know what it supports. We'll get that fixed, though.
Okay, yeah, it kind of cuts off there. Assistant Chief Cindy Culp is here, or Glenda, is someone going to do it? Okay. I always mispronounce her name, Glenda, so I'm not even going to try. Nisley. Hi, Glenda. Good to see you. Thanks. Okay, our next proclamation is for Community Planning Month.
Whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places, and whereas community planning and plans help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work, live, and play, and whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community, and whereas the full benefits of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation, and whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, and whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorse National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and planned implementation make the quality of our settlements and environments. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of the City Planning Commission and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the City of Independence, Missouri. And whereas we recognize the many valuable contributions made by the professional planners of the City of Independence, Missouri, and extend our heartfelt thanks for their continued commitment to the public service by these professionals. Now therefore, Eileen N. Weir, Mayor of the City of Independence, Missouri, by the virtue of authority vested in her by the City of Independence, Missouri, does hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 as Community Planning Month in the City of Independence in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month.
Okay, and Heather Wiley is here on behalf of the Planning Commission to accept this proclamation.
Thanks, Lisa, so much.
Okay, and last but not least is a proclamation for Fire Department and AMR recognition.
Whereas fire suppression, law enforcement, and emergency medical services personnel are mandated by the nature of their occupation and by a strong personal sense of duty to ensure the safety of the citizens of Independence, Missouri by providing the best possible service in a safe manner. And whereas on Monday, September 17th, firefighters from the Independence Fire Department responded to a medical call at a residence for a 27-year-old female who was in active labor. Upon their arrival, they located the patient and found that the baby to be presenting feet first in a breech delivery. And whereas the IFD crew then assisted with the delivery of all but one arm and the head, which had the umbilical cord wrapped around the neck once, AMR then arrived on the scene. An IFD crew member held the cord off the neck of the baby while a member of AMR's ambulance crew assisted with the rest of the difficult delivery. And whereas immediately following the successful delivery, AMR assisted with warming, drying, and stimulating the baby, in addition to providing supplemental oxygen administration. The newborn was then moved to the ambulance and transported to a local hospital. And whereas this was an extremely difficult and challenging delivery in the field, but through the professional and skilled response from the crew of the Independence Fire Department and members of AMR, mother and baby boy are both healthy and doing well. And whereas on the scene and acting on appropriate training and expertise were fire equipment operator Michael Peacock, firefighter Stephen Shepard, and firefighter Cole Sammons, and AMR ambulance crew members, paramedics Dave McGee, David DeFries, Chrissy Moyer, Al Bermudez, and Supervisor Jason Bardwell. Now therefore, Eileen N. Weir, Mayor of the City of Independence, by the virtue of the authority vested in her by the City of Independence, does hereby recognize and express appreciation to all aforementioned fire department and AMR employees for committing unselfish acts of bravery and exemplifying the highest standards of public safety on behalf of our community.
Thank you very much. Let's see this beautiful baby. Oh, so sweet. Good for you. Thanks. Well, I don't know who's going to take one. I have one for our firefighters and one for our paramedics, so I'll pass these.
Congratulations.
Good job, guys. Yeah, sweet. Okay. I was wondering what that baby was doing at the council meeting. I didn't know that the baby was going to be here. That's wonderful. Okay, this takes us to the consent agenda.
Mayor Weir,
Councilmember Van Camp.
I move to approve the reports and recommendations of the city manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any items that any council member wishes pulled for separate consideration? Yes, Councilmember DeLucy?
Items 10 and 11.
Okay, any others? Yes.
Number 2.
Number 2? Okay.
Number 7, Madam Mayor.
Any others? Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda minus items number 10, 11, 2, and 7?
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Councilmember DeLucy, item number 10.
Item number 10, Madam Mayor, regards the changes to a prescriptive plan management, and I wondered if the city manager could give us a little presentation on it.
Yes, I'd be happy to, Councilwoman. As the council knows, we have a employee advisory committee, the Stay Well Health and Wellness Committee, made up of a large representation of our city employees, our different organized labor groups, our retirees, all the different plan members. That group does an excellent job and is very diligent at monitoring that fund and making sure that it maintains healthy fund balance, but also remains very functional and competitive for us as an organization to help recruit and retain quality employees. So I wanted to make sure I thank them for the work they do on that. As we all know, the cost of healthcare is only ever increasing, and in the last year, I think we've all seen some very high-profile, well-publicized events that impacted our city employee workforce, which of course impacts the health of the fund. So the committee, in doing its due diligence, has come up with a number of recommendations to help stabilize the fund moving forward so that it can continue to meet our various financial goals and fund balance policies, but also remain in a position to cover the cost of insurance, which go upwards all the time, it seems like. In your packet, you'll see a number of changes to the pharmacy plan, as well as a new program that's called Health Matters Care Management. And these are designed to help control some of the costs that we see going up. As I think you all know, watching the news, we see a number of stories about the cost of prescription drugs going up, but also trying to make sure that our employees are getting the best care they can within the most competitive cost model possible. Those changes right there, round numbers, will save the plan about $1.7 million, which I know, again, the committee's to be commended for identifying some of these innovative approaches to healthcare management for our city. Additionally, the committee did recommend, I want to make sure I point this out, the committee did recommend a 3% increase to the health insurance premiums for this year. After contemplating that, after looking at that, I have made the decision not to endorse that recommendation right now, largely because we don't have that available funding right now in our budget. That wasn't anticipated at this time. The committee had been looking at it. I don't want to take away from their work, but we didn't bake that into the budget proposal that was adopted by the council in the July 1 fiscal year. We've also asked our employee workforce to adopt and take on some other changes to the healthcare plan. You might remember we asked the employees to take on extra cost of the dental premiums. All new hires July 1st are no longer eligible for our retiree health insurance costs. So some of those morale issues also weighed on my mind at this time right now too. So that recommendation, very sound from the committee, but one I've chosen not to bring forward for a recommendation to the council at this time. However, we are going to have to continue to work very closely with the committee over the next several weeks and months and monitor the status of the fund and make sure that we continue to hit our various fund balance goals, our various health indicators, our performance stats that we have with that. It may necessitate a mid-plan year transfer of funds, but that is something that with the finance director, with our management team up in my office, that we will continue to partner with the committee and make sure that we don't do anything that would jeopardize or become harmful or detrimental to the status of the fund. So again, just want to make sure that I point out that the committee has made that recommendation. It's likely a warranted recommendation, but it's one I think at this time that we'll continue to monitor and check in again and make some decisions at the mid-year plan. And certainly I want to make sure I make clear for everyone that though we've had 4 years without any kind of premium increase, that's not going to be able to continue into the foreseeable future. Eventually we're going to have to see premium increases again. But that's where we stand right now. I hope that's helpful, and any questions I can answer on that, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
so it's my understanding that the changes that we're making with the statewide plan will actually more than cover the increased costs for this year. Plus, we still have a reserve fund of around $5 million. Is that right?
We have a reserve fund. What we're anticipating right now, we have a total reserve fund of $6 million. Part of that's what we call incurred but not reported. Part of it's unrestricted fund balance. There's a lot more detail we could go into, but we don't want to bore you too much tonight.
So it's over 20%.
But it is. And what we are, in partnership with the Staywell Committee, in partnership with Lockton, who helps advise and guide on this, we're anticipating about $1 million drawdown on that fund balance this year. But that's where we have to be very diligent about watching that month to month and seeing,
Right.
Is that sustainable and will we need to make any mid-plan year adjustments?
Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Van Camp.
This has been a very volatile year, and unlike other years, and so it will come back up. Hopefully it isn't as bad as what we've been experiencing.
Correct. As I mentioned, I think there's been some very high-profile situations around some of our employees that the public would be aware of. We've had some other more, personal, private matters, but all of those, regardless, cost the plan money, and that's why we have insurance, is to take care of our workforce and our dependents on that plan.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Madam Mayor, I move for approval of item number 10.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Item number 10 passes. Councilmember DeLucy, number 11.
Oh my goodness, we're talking cars again. This item is the purchase of 10 electric cars for a total purchase price of $330,000. And IPL is going to front the money, and who's paying IPL back? Can you explain the financing on this deal?
Yeah, I'm hoping third time's a charm, Councilwoman. As I just want to reset for the public's benefit as well too. Some time ago, the city, in response to the council's resolution regarding some of the goals to become one of the greenest cities in America, or the green city in America, was to look at all electric vehicles. So knowing that our fleet, especially in the general fund, is facing some severe deterioration, we issued an invitation to bid looking at all electric fleet. Cable Dahmer had originally come back as the low bidder on that, and we tried to look at some creative ways to maybe bundle that, as the council will recall, with chargers, but ultimately the council asked us to separate those two issues and consider them independently. So that's a quick reset on why we're here tonight. As we looked at this, trying to contemplate not only present tense but future expenses and trying to control those, the general fund is not in a position, we budgeted $75,000 this year to replace fleet, not $330,000. So what we're proposing to the council tonight, envisioning the charter's goal of IPL operating in a business-like fashion, is a model in which IPL would front the cost of these vehicles, purchasing them from Cable Dahmer. IPL would retain one of the vehicles into their fleet. The other 9 would go into the general fund fleet specifically for community development department. So we have our food inspectors, 4 of those. We have our property maintenance officers, 7 of those. I'm already well beyond the 9 that we have. We also have building inspections and some others, but that's primarily where I would see those going and where the greatest need is at. In this model, right now, as you know, our funds that are idle, our fund balance, draw a certain percentage of interest. We would pay 1% above that in current interest rate until we pay back the funds to Power and Light. So general fund would repay back to the Power and Light fund. You got to understand that as we're not paying for fuel now, also that's going to have some savings. So we'll have, working with Public Works, we anticipate $4,000 of fuel savings total per year, not per car, but total per year. We anticipate Power and Light to make $4,000 in sold electricity to the general fund and charging these, again, total, not per vehicle. And then the idle fund interest rate over the period of this time would amortize to about $15,000. So all in, we think Power and Light's going to be able to make about $30,000 off of this deal. The general fund's going to be able to replace 9 dilapidated vehicles, and we're able to avoid the future. We're getting these vehicles at a deal because they're year-end model clearance. They're the last ones on the lot of this year. Cable Dahmer is looking to move them, and the general fund would be able to take advantage of some competitive pricing in today's dollars.
I'm sorry.
If we purchase these vehicles, how are we going to charge them?
Right. So what we think you've heard the assistant city manager refer to as dumb chargers, or actually wall-mounted chargers. The total cost of those would be $9,000. We would, just like how we have our fuel stations, we would put these in a place where they're accessible to the city fleet, not to the general public, but to be able to charge those as well.
Okay. And that expense is budgeted?
That expense is budgeted, correct.
Okay, very good.
Mr. City Manager, I believe in being green and environmentally conscious and all that stuff, but surely, like $33,000 for a car, I mean, we couldn't get them cheaper? I mean, I asked if we could have a comparison for electric, or rather gas-powered, and the report says we couldn't make a comparison on a gas-powered car. I just don't understand how come we can't make a comparison.
Yeah, the best comparison we could do, because again, it's a little bit convoluted because you're looking at gas versus electric and what you're saving versus expending. The best comparison we could offer to the council was that a similar sized vehicle that's gas powered, a traditional one you might call, was $27,000. So yes, it was cheaper by about $6,000 per vehicle, but ultimately, Councilwoman, we were trying to respond to the council's resolution there, and the bundled package that Cable Dahmer brought to us on this one was the one we brought forward to the council tonight.
So we're paying interest of 2.65%.
Correct.
On the $300,000 that we're borrowing from IPL.
Correct.
And that's going to tie up all community development fund for cars for the next 5 years.
So we've got $75,000 budgeted this year, and I would continue to submit a budget recommendation to the council for the next several years of $75,000 until we've got this paid off. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Councilmember Doherty.
Okay, thank you. I think you'd save just in repairs and oil changes alone enough to make it comparable. This weekend they had an event out at I think the Bass Pro or somewhere. It was the Touch a Truck, where they had all the equipment out there, and the city has 2 beautiful brand new snow plow trucks out there, which would buy one truck would buy all 10 cars here. But one of the things is the employee out there was one of the neighbors went out, said how proud they were to finally get a nice new truck, that the other snow plow trucks, that they had to put plywood in the floorboards to keep their feet from going through them. So if you've ever looked at the list of our vehicles in the age group and the constant repairs, and 3 weeks ago we had to tow one away that wouldn't run, I think it's high time that we invest in our employees, in our image, not pollute the earth, not buy gasoline or oil changes, and be responsible. So I don't have a problem with this, and if we did one a year, we'd never catch up. We've been so many times, I know the 6 years I've been here, every year there were cars budgeted by different departments, and prior city managers would always take them out because they couldn't make the ends meet. So this is the only way we can even start to get a jump on this fleet.
Councilman Perkins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm using a calculator, so that's kind of scary, so bear with me here. Did I hear you say, Mr. City Manager, that we're taking the $75,000 and applying that now towards the purchase of these cars?
So in my model that I'm recommending the council is Independence Power and Light would front the $330,000 to get these vehicles into the city's fleet.
Right.
$75,000 that we budgeted this year would then be transferred from the general fund to the Power and Light fund as first year payment. And we continue to do so until we've repaid that with the interest that I've mentioned.
Okay, so for year one, it's $300,000. $300,000, take one car away
So
from the
take-
general fund.
Right, so roughly $300,000 that you have to repay, plus the 75, so then we've got $225 left to pay.
Because IPL is going to keep one car, correct?
Correct.
So out of the general fund, we're only paying 198-ish?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So my math was right. Hot dog. Thank you.
That's not correct?
No?
IPL, we're taking $300,000 as a loan from IPL,
Oh.
and we're paying interest on the $300,000, and the interest rate is 2.65, is what I understood
Okay, so
from an
we-
earlier conference.
Right, so we've got $330,000 is the recommended purchase amount. IPL is gonna
Including
keep
interest.
one of the vehicles, so just for round numbers sake, $30,000, okay?
Right.
So now you're down to $300,000 to pay. The $75,000 that we would pay this year would mean that there's still $225 to pay off
Okay.
over the next X years plus interest. I don't have a calculator with me.
I've got 198. It's close.
Yeah.
It's close. So, but that's the logic that I have.
That's
is
the
that-
logic, correct.
Okay, so my
Uh-huh.
algebra teacher
Right.
won somehow here. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Councilman,
There is a 5-year warranty, correct?
That's correct.
And so that, everything will be covered for 5 years.
Yeah.
And it'll be paid back probably in 3.5 years.
That's, the goal is to get this done as quickly as possible to avoid long-term debt on this. Yes, sir.
Very good.
anything else? Councilmember DeLucy.
Move approval of item 11.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
No.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, item number 11 passes. Councilman Huff, item number 2.
Item number 2. What I was wanting to do on this was to postpone this a little bit longer until we figure out this, get this rate study back and what we're going to do with the master plan. Haven't even really went into that too much. I just wanted to put this off a little longer, so that's why I was making a motion to postpone it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do we have a specific?
Do you want to postpone it and,
Definitely.
do you have a date or you want to
Just
postpone it
until we can figure out the
indefinitely?
rest of it.
Definitely.
Motion is to postpone indefinitely. I guess, Mr. City Manager, I'd just ask you, is there any imminent need to do this? I know it's a routine, routine inspection, but given all of the studies that we have going on with the rate study, master plan, and a number of other decisions, is there any urgency to complete this inspection?
Yeah, I've asked Marty Barker, who oversees our production division from Power and Light, to come tonight, so the council can have full knowledge of, the implications and all that, and then let you make an informed decision. So I'd ask Mr. Barker to come forward and help you with that.
Thank you.
Good evening. Marty Barker, Power Production Manager. And this overhaul, this inspection is a scheduled routine inspection. We came back this time so we could get on the schedule for next spring's outage,
Okay.
and that's what this is. And to go ahead and approve it tonight, we don't have to spend all the money right away, but we have to get on the schedule and hold the schedule places for next late February, early March. And that's the whole thing. We've delayed it one time and to delay it again, and the early processing on the master plan is that this unit is going to be used through 2020 in every example given except shutting down all generation.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
I understand the need to hold a spot for us. If we hold that spot, they don't require us to put any payment forward to hold that
No,
spot?
we have to get the parts going. There is a long lead time on parts, and that's, I can't remember what the price was.
And then at what point, I mean, how long do we need to let them know if we're going to go forward with the inspection or not?
Well, probably within a month or so.
Okay.
They have other things going. I mean,
So
we're
it
okay
would-
for another couple of months, but
Okay,
if we need to, but we need to get on the schedule. We need to get parts ordered. And parts lead time is, we're coming up on that one pretty quick, so.
Okay. okay.
This unit's still working, right? Still in
Yes, it is.
operation? Okay.
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Councilman Robertson.
Thanks. So this is at Substation H,
Correct.
correct? Is this one of the two that burn fuel oil, or is this a gas-fired turbine?
This is a gas fire. This is a dual fuel.
Okay.
H5, H6 are the dual fuel units.
So those are the ones that are called upon frequently by Southwest Power Pool for us to run.
Including today.
Okay, and when they call on us, they want us to run them quick,
Yes.
turn them on quick. So under most of the scenarios from the master plan, they had recommended keeping all 6 of the combustion turbines for now at the substations, although 2 of those were the ones that were much higher in maintenance and expense. And I don't know which 2 of those they were talking about, but I suspect it was the 2 that are fired with fuel oil. And so if this is not,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
if this is not one of those, then I would suggest that we go ahead with the maintenance, because we're probably going to need it for the next several years.
I guess on cost, if you're talking overall cost over the long term,
Yes,
this would probably come due in another 4 to 5 to 6 years for another major overhaul, and that counts as a major hit against that maintenance versus the others that will go 8, 9, 10 years without maintenance. So
okay,
it could look like this one's costing a lot more money, but it's also running.
right.
And when it does run, IPL does benefit in profit from,
Right,
so.
okay.
Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. So, with the information I have in my packet, we're looking at $1.6 million for an inspection.
Yes.
I'm hearing you say overhaul. I'm not a mechanic,
It's
so
old term is overhaul. They used to just call everything an overhaul, but now it's just basically you open it up, you do non-destructive examination, which is testing through a lot of different metallurgical testing, make sure the blades are in good shape, all the metals are in good shape. You clean it up, you put new seals back in it, you tighten clearances back up, make sure the bearings are in good shape. And, I mean, you do a lot of work, not just open up and look at it, but you actually do a lot of work to restore it back to a like-new condition.
okay. I figured this wasn't quite like looking at my car, for sure. It's scheduled to at least be online until 2023, so when you fired it up today, how did that work?
They called for us, and within 15 minutes, we were online.
Is that pretty average? Is that good?
That's what we have to do.
No, but you starting it, was
Yes,
that good?
yes.
Good. In the long-term plan, we are looking to possibly get out of the generation altogether, Mr. City Manager. Is that a direction that we are proposing to look at?
The report contemplated a couple of different alternatives, Councilmember. If you'll recall, there was everything on the gamut from, they costed out and looked at everything from building a brand new plant all the way to getting all the way out. The report kind of sided with mix your eggs a little bit, have some production capacity, but really lean more in on purchase power agreements. But that's part of what this RFP is looking at, is what does the open market give us in terms of purchase power, and what's the cost benefit analysis of, does it make sense to go all in? Does it make sense to retain some production capacity? So there's still some, I mean, the report pointed us down the trail, but it's still, we don't have all the final answers yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments?
Excuse me,
Yeah.
but the last inspection was 20 years ago for this turbine?
Major inspection, yes. Actually, it was 1996.
96.
We have done minor inspections where we only take, like, the burners off and do can't think of the word now. But we use borescopes to get in and look at things. When we pull the burners off, we can look at a lot of blading and a lot of equipment that way. But we have not done a full split the shell, rotor out type inspection since 1995.
Yeah. Councilman Robertson?
You know, just one of my one of my other concerns is safety, safety for the personnel and that work for the city, as well as anybody that would be around the substation. And with metal fatigue that occurs in turbines over years like this, I think we're really running the risk of, I mean, the potential of an explosion. You never know. And I wouldn't want to risk that if there was one blade that had metal fatigue and had a problem. So even though I don't want to spend that kind of money, I think if we're going to continue to generate anything at the substations, which was the lowest cost recommendation from the master plan, I think we really should invest and go ahead and have this done on this turbine now, just for safety, if for nothing else.
I'm okay to put it off till spring, but I really don't want to run too much past
Well,
that.
we won't get anything till spring, you said,
Right,
anyway,
but I'm
even
just
if we do
saying
it
that
now.
If it's
Yeah.
put off forever, it's not going to be.
Councilman Huff? I'm
So-
sorry.
On the, today when they called, how many units did they call for? We have 6 of them out there. Just call for one?
We were day ahead, what they call day ahead on Unit 3 at Blue Valley. It ran all day. They'll probably shut it down tonight, and it's already day ahead for tomorrow. H5 and H6 were called RUC, which is Reliability Unit Commitment, and they say get them on now. Both H5 and H6 were called for today for a 2-hour minimum time. They've probably been extended, and they were day ahead for tomorrow also.
So you picked them two because they're the most efficient ones?
Because of
you
gas
have
price.
Because of gas price only?
Yeah. Oil is just so
The other ones
outrageous.
all are working?
Mhm.
Okay. I just make a motion to postpone it for 2 months then.
Okay. So that would be the first council meeting in December? If you would give us that date?
Madam Mayor.
December 3rd?
I made a motion for 2 months.
Yeah, so do you want to do that December 3rd? That's first.
That's fine. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, December 3rd. Okay, postpone to December 3rd.
Hey, did we have a motion that has to be
Yeah,
before the
yeah.
other one? Okay.
Are you, well, that's amending the motion to.
Amend the motion.
To December 3rd. So, we need a second on the amendment?
I'll second the amendment.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I just have a question. If we postpone it and vote on it in December, is that a major problem to get on your schedule that you've been talking about?
It's going to be pushing to get parts.
Okay.
And we may just buy some parts that are the longest lead time out of the operating budget and get, so that we don't lose that opportunity. They won't go to waste.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you
It
meant.
won't go to waste,
They,
you
the
said.
parts won't go to waste if we order them ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
Out of the operating
So,
budget. And we'll
I
just
mean, I'm torn, and I think probably everybody is, because we don't know if we're going to need this for 5 years, and it's a lot of money.
agree.
You know, and there's other equipment, you know, available to us. But I'm kind of torn, because I think it would be wise to get on the schedule and postpone voting on the expenditure of the funds, if that would help. I mean, if that's not going to put us in a, in a bind to go ahead, or that it doesn't commit us to doing it. So that's kind of what I'm struggling with. Is
So
getting
if
on
this
the
is
schedule.
approved, then are we committing to do it on this date? If we approve this tonight, are we committing to do it on this date?
You'll be committed to bring it back to council on the 3rd.
Okay, so.
Is that what you're saying?
What I'm
No,
asking
Mike, I don't know.
is if we
Councilman.
can pass a motion to allow you to get it scheduled, and then we will vote on the expenditure of the funds on December the 3rd. Is that possible?
Madam Mayor, can I muddy the waters?
Yeah, I
A little
know,
bit more.
sorry. I mean, would that help the situation?
We know where we're at then. up to December 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, right now, you don't have any authority to go and prepare for this
No.
without council direction. So, you know, if you at least, if we could get that scheduled, and then if we decide not to do it, then we decide not to do it. And like you say, those parts won't go to waste. We'll use them some other way. Is that what you're telling us?
There's just a few that are really long lead time that we'll have to
Yeah.
get going.
I'm with you, Madam Mayor. I'm kind of torn on this. This is a lot of money for something that may or not be recommended for us to possibly use. I heard spring. Is spring what we're looking at, Mr. City Manager, to have the reports back to us to help formulate a better decision on this?
I think it's realistic to think that by spring we'll know more about which direction we're going with the long term. I mean, we won't have everything put together, but we'll at least have a direction that we're rowing towards at that point.
Right. And Mr. Barker, did that give you a lot of heartburn there when we were discussing spring, possibly delay until spring?
To delay the vote on this till spring?
Correct.
Yes. It'll be next fall before we can do it again.
So,
Or we
December
take
we-
it out during the summer when they really need it.
Okay. I see. Fair enough.
Well, I guess I'm just confused. Why would we wait? That's my question. I mean, we hear that we are using this turbine. It's being called on by the Southwest Power Pool. It's not been inspected in 23 years. I read the energy report. I mean, we're probably going to be using this. I don't understand why we would wait. I'm sorry.
I mean, for me, why we would wait is because what we're contemplating in the Energy Master Plan is to whether, I mean, there's no clear recommendation yet, no decision by the council, if we're going to continue to use some production or if we're going to not use any production at all. And if we don't use any production at all, we don't need to spend $1.6 million on a unit that we're not going to use for in 5 years. I mean, it's scheduled to be in production for the next 5 years, and we may not choose to go that direction, and then we have $1.6 million expended for nothing.
And what happens if we just, what happens if it blows up? We don't have this turbine anymore. What do we do?
You just lost a unit on the system.
Yeah.
Can we make it up with other units?
They're oil units at that point.
Okay.
So, oh yes, Councilman Van Camp. I'm
There
sorry.
are no other units? I thought you said,
We still have Blue Valley 3 available.
They're oil units,
No,
is
the
what he's-
Blue Valley 3 is gas,
Mhm.
but the other combustion turbines are oil fired. And they could
cover
They can cover it, but, you know, they don't run that often.
But oil prices are more expensive than gas.
And we are going to have to, at that point, then buy capacity for sure.
But, but we're covered if it blows up.
Well,
I wouldn't want that, and that seems a far-fetched
I
idea,
understand.
especially seeing how it's operated all these years. Okay, but I don't want to put us in a predicament or have a misunderstanding here, because that was my idea. And it just as we're saying, we're going to have to spend to be out of Blue Valley, and that's a given. We're going to have to do something to cover that. And this is maybe towards buying enough to cover everything. I understand your concerns, and I'm right there with you.
Councilman?
How many times was this called upon this year, since January 1st?
I don't know, it's been probably at least an average of once, twice a week since May. In the summertime, it was called on a lot.
Okay.
I mean, it has run this year more than it ran a year ago. We gave the power pool a little better operating range for it. And there have been some other units that they have throughout the system that have come off, and we've been there to cover up that.
My biggest problem is we're going to spend $1.6 million for 4 years. We're going to go in and do an overhaul. I'm looking at rate reductions around here, and this is not going to fit in for a rate reduction at all. We're spending this for a study. I understand they do the bearings and everything else like that, but we have 5 other ones to pick from. You pick this one because it's the most efficient, but it doesn't mean that we're out just because it blows up.
Yes, Councilman.
I just wanted to make clear, because of some of the things been said, this is one of the 6 combustion turbines at substations. It's not at Blue Valley.
That's correct.
And this particular turbine, the gas-fired ones, I'm understanding 4 of the 6 are gas-fired,
No,
correct?
2 of the 6.
2 of the 6. And those are the ones called on most frequently by Southwest Power Pool.
That's correct.
Because they're less expensive to run. In the 3 least expensive scenarios given to us by the master plan, all 3 scenarios had us keeping all 6 turbines at the 6 substations in case of a brownout or in case we were called on, and it would give us some generation capacity. It didn't involve Blue Valley. I'm talking about substations. So all 3 of the least expensive scenarios said that we should keep turbines at the 6 substations, although 2 of those probably eventually would need to be replaced. Evidently, this is not one of those 2. That's what I was asking about earlier, which means in the long run, we may keep this for 10 or 20 years before it has to be replaced. But there is metal fatigue in all turbines, and that's my concern. If we're going to keep it at least 5 to 10 years, I think we have to err on the side of safety. And if it's going to be called on that often, it's going to be running a lot, and it's going to have more metal fatigue over time. So that's why I don't think we should put this off, since the lead time is at least 6 to 8 months before it's going to be done anyway. We're going to, by then, have decided as a council what direction we're going. And so that's why I think we need to err on the side of safety, since this is one of the 2 that's probably going to be around for a long, long time. That was the cheapest scenario in the 3 cheapest ones that they gave us, the least expense for the city and the ratepayers. So,
okay, so there is a motion and a second to postpone this to December 3rd. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll on the motion.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
No.
Robertson,
no.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, motion passes. Councilman Perkins, item number 7.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a request for council action to approve an engineering service contract to move forward with our College Street improvement. This is something that Councilman Huff and Doherty and myself and Mr. Walker's gone out and walked that area and talked to constituents out there, the individuals. This was a sticker shock that freaked me out. But then I read the detail of I mean, us walking and talking what we're is completely different when you see it on paper and looking at the actual intricacy of what we're trying to do out here, working with a modern city and making it look better and nicer. So the question is this: what is the time frame to have this agreement completed so we can get the plans ready to roll so we can start shoveling dirt out there?
Sure, if the council sees fit to approve this tonight, we can have the design work done by the end of March, bids out on the street in April, and depending on just how long it takes to get contracts in front of council, I think you could see work starting next summer.
Great. Then I call for approval of this item.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, item number 7 passes. This takes us to our public hearings. Our first public hearing is for the application by Spanos Corporation requesting a rezoning from R6 single-family residential to R30 PUD, high-density residential planned unit development for the property located at 19700 East 39th Place South. This is new information only. Mr. Scannell.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, my name is Tom Scannell. I'm the Community Development Director. There's no new information to report on this case.
Okay, this public hearing is closed. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 18-091, an ordinance amending the zoning district map as to a tract of ground located at 19700 East 39th Street 39th Place South from District R6 Single Family Residential to District R30 PUD High Density Residential Planned Unit Development, and approving a preliminary development plan in Independence, Jackson County, Missouri. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
Madam Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, Councilmember DeLucy.
This zoning, is it just for apartments? Is it for duplexes? What is this?
The R30 district allows for multifamily. It does not allow single-family or duplexes to be built, and it's only for this apartment property.
Okay, and this apartment property is 200 units or 280 units,
Yes,
something like
correct.
that?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I looked up on the census today, and Independence, 38% of our housing units are rentals. 38%. That's pretty high. Lee Summit is 23%. I don't see any reason for us to have 40% rentals. There is no shortage of rental property in this town. I'm going to vote against this rezoning.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
No.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
No.
Robertson,
As a member of the Community Christ Church, I'm going to recuse myself from the vote.
Councilmember Van Camp,
No.
Mayor Ware.
Yes.
3-3.
Councilmember Robertson, are you abstaining from the vote?
I recuse myself. Yeah.
Ordinance fails.
3-3.
Okay, our next public hearing for the amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 14 of the Independence City Code relating to animal shelter and boarding regulations in Table 301-1 and Section 14-301-01. This is a full public hearing. Mr. Scannell.
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, this UDO amendment before you seeks to remove the current 200-foot restriction as it relates to animal sheltering and bordering in the C2 and C3 districts. We have a lot of commercial corridors that were zoned many years ago. This would relax that restriction just a little bit, meaning that if one of these uses came forward in either the C2 or C3 district, they could apply for a special use permit and go through that public hearing process. Prior to the UDO, the zoning ordinance at that time did not have this 200-foot restriction. This is something that was added in as part of the UDO when it was adopted back in 2009.
So explain what the 200-foot restriction is.
So what that 200-foot restriction is if you have outdoor kennels, those cannot be located within 200 feet of a residential district.
Okay, and this would remove that restriction, or they would have to?
They would have to apply for a special use permit and go through that process, notify the neighbors.
If they want to be closer than 200 feet?
That is correct,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Okay, this is a full public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak in support? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Public hearing is closed. Any comments or questions from the council? Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 18-092, an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 14 of the Independent City Code, which will amend animal shelter and boarding regulations in Table 301-1 and Section 14-301-01. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes. Our next public hearing is an application by Ovations Food Services, LP, to add an outside fenced area located at the southeast side of the building to the currently licensed premises, allowing patrons to consume intoxicating liquor by the drink 7 days a week within the new licensed premises at the Silverstein Eye Center's arena located at 19100 East Valley View Parkway. This is a full public hearing. Mr. DeSalle.
Mayor and members of the council, Charlie DeSalle, Assistant Community Development Director. What this is just simply an expansion of the existing premises at the Silverstein Eye Center's arena. In the past, what the arena has done is gotten individual catering licenses to have events outside their licensed area. Catering license through approval processes that we have can take anywhere from 15 to 30 days to get approved. To kind of streamline some of those issues with timing that the event center has, we suggested that they just increase the area of their licensed premises to include this patio that they will be putting in. I believe the patio will be about 4,000 square feet in size. With that, then they would not need to come get individual license from us for events that they want to have.
Okay, thank you. This is a full public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak in support of this application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Public hearing is closed. Comments or questions from the council? Madam City Clerk.
Council actions requested on the application received from Ovations Food Services LP for an expansion of the place of entertainment intoxicating liquor license premises for the Silverstein Eye Center Arenas located at 19100 East Valley View Parkway.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Ordinance passes. Our final public hearing is a public hearing regarding the Independence Square and Heartland Heritage Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Plans. Mr. Scannell.
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, at last week's study session, I gave a presentation on the status of both of these TIFs. The Independence Square TIF, this is its first 5-year public hearing, and the Heartland Heritage, this is its 20th year public hearing. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, this is a full public hearing. Is there anybody present who would like to speak in the public hearing regarding the Independence Square and Heartland Heritage Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Plans? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Okay. This takes us to our non-ordinance action items. We have 2 this evening. The city manager has communicated with the council and asked that item number 2 be removed from consideration this evening. Mr. City Manager, would you like to make any remark on that?
No, just
Okay.
that staff needs a little more time to work this one through.
Okay, very good. Madam City Clerk.
Item number 1, council action is requested for an adjustment to the Community Solar Program participation limits.
Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Okay, this takes us to our second readings. Madam City Clerk.
These next few bills will receive their second reading and be considered by the council. Bill number 18-086, an ordinance repealing Article 46 of Chapter 1 of the Independent City Code, dissolving the Citizens with Disabilities Advisory Board, and empowering the Human Relations Commission to continue the work of the board, and repealing all conflicting provisions of ordinance numbers 12246, 15005, and 15150. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-087, an ordinance authorizing an amended contract with the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority for the purpose of providing intercity bus services in and to the City of Independence, intercity and intra-city paired transit services, and transit management services for the period of July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, in the amount of $910,053, and authorizing future minor change orders not to exceed $91,000. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-088, an ordinance approving a plan for an industrial development project for the 39th Place Apartments, authorizing the City of Independence, Missouri to issue taxable industrial development revenue bonds in a principal amount not to exceed $37,565,000 and authorizing certain documents and actions in connection therewith. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember DeLucy.
I'm going to be voting no on this. I do not believe this is the proper use of industrial development funds.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
No.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
No.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
No.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-089, an ordinance establishing an indefinite moratorium on the new construction license surcharge provided for in Chapter 5, Article 18 of the City Code. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-090, an ordinance annexing a contiguous and compact area of the land consisting of 2 adjacent tracts totaling 91.66 acres located generally south of East Truman Road, State Route FF, and east of South M7 Highway in unincorporated Jackson County, Missouri, into the corporate limits of the City of Independence, Missouri, and authorizing and directing the city clerk to do those things necessary to accomplish said action. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Robertson.
I had 2 questions. First of all, can we request that this land be in the service area for IPL? And the second question has to do with AMI. If we ever go to AMI and we're going to be selling water on this land, will that reach to the closest pole that it would be communicating with, or would we have to put up a separate pole?
As to the question of can IPL serve, no, not without the agreement of KCP&L. They remain in the certificated area for Kansas City Power and Light. Over time, it may come to pass that they would, Kansas City Power and Light would desire to not have them as a customer, but it would have to be by agreement of the city and KCP&L. But we can't insist just because they are annexed in that they automatically should be IPL customers.
Would it be at their request, the owner's request?
No, it would have to be a KCP&L's agreement.
Okay. Okay.
Councilmember, to your question on the AMI, I know you brought that up with me earlier. I did check on that, and because this is contiguous to the current municipal boundaries, it should be sufficient to service it without any additional infrastructure.
Thanks.
Is there any further discussion?
I have a question, Madam
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
This party wants to annex into Independence just because he needs our water. Am I right on that?
Correct.
And if we changed our policy, we could sell this gentleman water without him being annexed in.
Correct.
It's a policy decision, right?
Yes.
And right now, it's only 1 house, but it's 91 acres that we're going to be responsible for providing fire protection, police protection, correct?
Correct.
I'm sorry?
1 house.
1 house, I know. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Of course, I'm going to vote no. I think that the policy, it's ridiculous to insist on a policy like that today. 91 acres, just to sell water to 1 house, we can change the policy versus annexing in property that we're going to be responsible for providing basic city services. So I'm going to vote no.
Any further discussion? Yes,
Mike.
Councilman.
Mr. City Manager, where did they get their water now?
If they, it's my understanding there's not there yet, Councilmember. I could be wrong on that, but if that were the case, they would be a wholesale customer of the city.
I mean, do they have water to the house?
I've not been to the site, sir. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Madam Mayor.
Councilman Perkins.
Would we be responsible to take the water line there?
It's already there. I'm picking up some intel. It's already there.
Well done.
Is there a house on the property?
No house on the property.
Okay, so they have this land, they want to build a house on it.
Correct.
And they want to be water, and they want to be Independence residents and live in the city of Independence.
That's my understanding.
Okay, and pay all the associated taxes and fees associated with living in our city.
Correct.
I can't quite place precisely where this property is, but through our cooperative agreements with surrounding police and fire, I mean, somebody's protecting this property now with police and fire services, if there were an incident there, correct?
One of our mutual aid agreements would probably
Mutual
cover
aid
that,
was
correct.
what I was- So it would either be us or the closest neighboring community.
Correct. Like,
that
for
would
example,
pay
the
that.
Fort Osage Fire Protection District, yeah. Jackson County as well.
Jackson County?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further
Thank you.
discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
No.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Ordinance passes. This takes us to our first readings. We do have one emergency reading tonight. That is an appropriation that will require 2/3 majority vote.
Bill number 18-093, an ordinance accepting a grant from the Missouri State Emergency Management Agency for the Emergency Management Performance Grant Program and estimating revenue and increasing appropriations in the amount of $112,665.78 in the grants funds. Bill number 18-094, an ordinance authorizing the removal and destruction of municipal court records that have met all requirements to be eligible for such destruction and are subject to Circuit Court Administrative Order number 2018-210. This next bill will receive 2 readings and be considered by the council. Bill number 18-507, an ordinance appropriating $450,000 in the city's Event Center Fund from the Event Center Community Improvement District for capital outlay expenditures at Silverstein Ice Center's Arena. Bill number 18-507, an ordinance appropriating $450,000 in the city's Event Center Fund from the Event Center Community Improvement District for capital outlay expenditures at Silverstein Ice Center Arena. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Ordinance passes. This brings us to citizens' request. Beverly Harvey requests the City Council on Ethics. Ms. Harvey, if you would please step forward. Ms. Harvey, are you familiar with the council rules of procedure?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
You will have 5 minutes. The city clerk will keep the time at the dais. She will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining.
Mayor Weir and the council, I'm speaking tonight on ethics. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines ethics, the discipline dealing with what is good and bad and with moral duty and obligation. The heart of politics is serving others, serving the citizens of a community, standing up for people that cannot stand for themselves, speaking for people who have no voice, standing against people and institutions who instead serve themselves, looking out for people that live in that community and making sure that you do everything in your power to make sure that you're providing a safe, happy, and creating a prosperous environment where people can live and flourish. To be a public servant, you must be ethical. I have, nor will I ever understand the insecure ego that one must have to tread on others, who at the expense of others act so that they themselves may prosper financially and or professionally, and all the while never once think about how their actions affect others. It has always amazed me at the greed that exists in our world. I mean, how much is enough? How much money can one spend in a lifetime? How far up the political ladder one must rise in order to fill the empty vessel that resides within. We know you cannot buy happiness. We have but one precious lifetime, and if we are lucky, we will live a long, healthy, and happy life. I have a few questions for all politicians in general.
Is it ethical, good or bad, for any politician to vote in a manner which will financially enrich themselves, their family, their friends, their employer, or a special interest group instead of voting in a manner which is in the best interest of the citizens that they serve? Is it ethical, meaning good or bad, for a politician to use taxpayer monies or revenues earned in a municipality in which they serve for their own personal use? Is it ethical, meaning good or bad, for a politician to vote in any manner as to influence their future political career instead of the best interest of the citizens to whom they serve? Is it ethical, meaning good or bad, for a politician to vote in a manner which serves the specific interest of one or two local business persons? Section 7.9 of the Charter of the City of Independence gives citizens the authority to act when we believe our elected officials are not acting in our best interest. It's called a recall. Tomorrow, a recall petition will be filed tomorrow morning with the city clerk with the City of Independence. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This takes us to Councilmember Comments. I'll start on my right with Councilmember Doherty.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm really happy that we, although it wasn't unanimous, that we did get some new vehicles for the city. We have to improve our image, be it the new sidewalk out in front of the building, the new bench, the new door, the new buildings, the new snow plow. We have to show the rest of the cities that we take pride in ourselves and our buildings and our work. So much deserved for the employees who've been pushing junk piles and having them towed. They'll be so thrilled when they finally get at least 10 new vehicles and on the way to many more. Thank you.
Councilman Perkins.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Councilman Huff.
Nothing tonight.
Councilman Van Camp.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to share with everyone that there is a planned energy forum, free and open to the public at the North Independence Public Library on October 27th at 10 a.m. One of the topics of discussion will be battery storage technology. It has been my privilege as a councilman to make an on-site visit and tour the energy storage facility in McIntosh, Alabama, one of only 2 compressed air energy storage facilities in the entire world. I have also attended energy conferences in Orlando and Las Vegas, Nevada, which each had extra pre-conference days available that allowed me to attend battery storage technology and presentations. I feel that energy storage is a perfect partner to our solar farm project here in Independence. This energy technology is certainly the wave of the future, and it is also a key ingredient to our goal to becoming the greatest city in America, and that goal is good for the children. Also, on a lighter note, we're having a opening of a Jack in the Box here real soon, and across the street, 2 more restaurants. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Robertson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to tell everyone that I had the personal privilege of being at the Truman Heartland Foundation Toast of Our Town on Saturday night with a couple other members of the council, and it was a very nice affair. The honorees from Independence were Dave and Connie Mehta that were nominated by the mayor, and so our city was well represented, and we're very fortunate to have the Truman Heartland Foundation located here in Independence, although it serves all the cities in eastern Jackson County. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember DeLucy.
Nothing.
Mr. State Manager, anything else this evening?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, go Chiefs.
Huff and Perkins.